this year, that we extend ourselves and reach out to everyone in an African sense in the tradition, both tradition and modernity, all intermixing and interacting, that we be one in togetherness. This we ask, and to the glory of your name. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Please, let's have our seats. And before, as we expect the procession, you want to remind us once again that it is Palm conference, and the theme is surviving the tide, preserving African indigenous cultures in a globalized world. And this, among many other things, are the things that our ancestors have succeeded in ensuring that it reaches and meets this age, and we want to ensure that the survival of cultures, material and immaterial, continues. So once again, I welcome every one of us, and it is Kegite Club of Nigeria, National Headquarters, University of Ibadan, in partnership with African Studies Student Association, the Institute of African Studies, and the Institute of African Studies, University of Ibadan, which is, I don't want to join the debate about the oldest shrine of the Kegite Club, but fortunately, can we all agree that we are possibly all having the first, with the first in partnership with the first. The Institute is the first on the continent. The national headquarters is the first in Nigeria, possibly on the continent, and the Student Association is one of the first on the continent as well. So please, can we give ourselves a round of applause? And so that we don't get intimidated by our number, we should not be intimidated. Beautiful things happen in a group of 4s and 5s. And in fact, we are more than that. And I will call on the chief for procession. Immediately after procession, we welcome everyone and guests. So is the chief ready for procession, please? Procession.
Oriwo, Lalami Turuku, Oshapani, Oturaka, Konsafura, Ajafura, Omileti Bafura. Before anything, Atula Atete, bless Mutua, bless Mutua, bless Mutua. Chief Assistant to Almighty God. Ògo ni fún Bàbá, ògo ni fún Ọmọ, ògo ni fún Olúwa Ọlọ́run nínú. Bí ó ti wà láti ti kàn ṣe orí bẹ́ẹ̀ nísìn, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ó sì máa rí ní ìgbà gbogbo ayé àìnípẹ̀kun àmín. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wọ́n ní ìtẹ́ ikú kí n dínkù lẹ́yìn ìtẹ́ yẹ kí n dẹ́yìn lẹ́nu. Ọjọ́ tí Jimmy bá fojú kan lápẹ̀ ní ọjọ́ náà lọ́rọ̀ náà tán. Nasarawa láfíà, I want to fabricate. Still very much acting, jubilating, intoxicating within the realm, jurisdiction of those socio-cultural powers bestowed upon me by the Supreme Council of Chiefesses, Oshosis, Ajesis, and other CCCs of Supreme Commandant Atalaja, that of National Headquarters in parentheses. So this is to say the Premier University of Ibadan, the only university that has its Kegite motto written in Latin language, Recte sapere fons, repete la ficha per fun, that I is equal to I, His Royal Imperial Kegistic Majesty, Obato Balurium, Olanshili, Olaleko Ogurinu, Chifedo Emperor, Celestis to say the Emperor, the Conqueror, the Lion is here, Chifedo President in Mystery, I do and hereby do. Bless this conference and declare the conference open by the wages of direct. Before we land, I would love to say this. Every generation out of relative obscurity must discover its mission to fulfill or to betray it. To God who has made me the 53rd traditional Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, I have seriously landed.
Thank you very much, my chief and our chief. My duty here is to moderate the conference and ensure that we don't overstay or go beyond our time, because we have Muslims who are going for prayers. So I would cut a lot of things very short. And by the principle of the priorities for visitors, I'm not going to call the names of Kegite, I'm not going to call the names of staff and students in the university, but what I'm going to do now is the welcome and introduction of guests. So guests as guests. And first, I would like to welcome the Honorable Commissioner, the Oyo State Honorable Commissioner for Culture and Tourism, and that's Honorable Dr. Wasiu Olatidasu. You are very welcome. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. He is a Uite, so it's the privilege of having you from the diaspora, I will say. So I will be calling the other names, but because we want our time to be fast, so we'll be moving directly into the first keynote. And I would, for that purpose, I will call to the stage the two keynote speakers and the panelists for the day. And first, I would like to welcome, also on behalf of the Institute of African Studies, like I said, and the moderator today, so I'll be anarchist in my approach. So on behalf of the director of the Institute, please can you join me to welcome to the podium, which he might protest, the director of the Institute of African Studies, Professor Shalom. So I would also like to welcome Professor Famsat Ibrahim, who is also from the Institute of African Studies. Thank you very much, ma'am. I don't know about Dr. Stephen Akinwumi is here with us. He's on his way. Chief Tunde Olade is also on his way. Comrade Kunle Ajayi, wise man, is it most? Thank you very much. You're welcome. Okay. Okay. So we also have Professor Adoremi Raji Oyelade, but he's not properly represented here. He's a Mogaji in Ibadan land. So please, let's always remember that and put it represented as should be. We also have Dr. Mabel Fagua, who will be joining us online, and that's all for now. So we'll be going into the first keynote speech, and I will say, please, our timer. So our timer, please, the professor has 20 minutes. Professor Shalana, you're welcome, sir. Please, can we give him a round of applause?
We are privileged to be here and to be amidst brothers and sisters once again. Please, I feel hemmed in. Can you kindly push this a little forward? I feel a bit hemmed in, just a little. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So our time is fast spent, and then we like to go straight into the business of the day. Allow me again to welcome my brother, the Honorable Commissioner for Culture and Tourism, who has been doing really great work in our state and in the country. Even when some of us who collaborate with him find him moving a lot faster, if you have to work with this man, you really have to have 10 lives. I don't know where he derives his own energy. Anyway, we look up to you, sir, in the other things. We still have a book outstanding, and I can see my brother is also looking at me too. Thank you so much. Yeah. And the other members of the team, thank you so much. So let's quickly get into this. About 20 years plus ago, I gave what seems like the Kegite Week talk. That was at Draper's Hall then. And just this rare coincidence that at this point, one coincidentally serving as director, and with the rare privilege of having the eminence of the commissioner of this caliber, and the triple luck also of having one of the oldest students in the world doing his PhD in the eminence of Professor of Molecular Biology, Makowago. Yeah, who has come again also to do his another PhD. And allow me to start from there. You notice that I'm going to tie that to what Makowago is working on. Of course, I have my paper here, which is your culture, past, present, and future. Tribal blueprints and colonial disruptions. But then it's important that as you move towards these kinds of conversation, you take notes of what is happening around you. He's working on a concept, and for those of you in the sciences, you know this, which is called stem cells. Stem cells are found in biological life, in plant life. And the basic principle is that you have features, that are primal to, growth and development, which over the period has to replicate. And when they do replicate, they get differentiated. But even in their different differentiations, and as they develop and grow, they still have the capacity to retain the core essence of their very beginnings. When the chief walked in this morning and gave that prayer, Lord, bless this land, he was invariably extending the conversation of the stem cells of his own Yoruba African culture. First is an acknowledgement of terra firma, where we live the physical life, the chemical life, the biological life that we live in. We acknowledge the social life in terms of our interactivity as human beings, and we acknowledge the very presence of this hall. What that does tell me when you ask me to come and speak about the concept of how the retention of the globality that we are in now will not affect or will affect African culture, I think it's important that we take notes of moments like that in order to see how we can retain this and how we can extend it. The essence of the kind of illustration that Mark Owago is talking about in stem cell, which he has domesticated in cultural stem cells in relation to even other explanations in our lives, say in the extraverbal theater or performances of life, say as we see in CBD or in the performance of Fabulous Officers Theater, is also the kind of extension I want us to see in continuity. How come, for instance, that certain parts of the world, say China, are able to retain the cultural stem cells of their nodal cultures and expand it and make it reappear in their trading, in their culture, in their foreign relations, and in the very things that they do. And we cannot as much as we wish to. So I think this moment calls for the need for Africans to begin to re-examine, how they can link all of these deep theoretical insights, not just into the performativity of celebrations, but in terms of every aspect of our development, in terms of our thinking of scientific principles, in terms of thinking of our technologies, in terms of thinking of our social life and our interactions in all its ramifications. Now, so when you ask me, the committee of Convergence, to therefore speak again on how do we retain and expand this culture in a globalized world, I say you can only retain this in a globalized world to the extent of how much you are able to understand the essence of your own stem cell, and to be very conscious and targeted as social beings in terms of how you intend to replicate them. The chief came, he acknowledged everything. What that means is he has paid attention to the environment. It seems therefore that whoever does that is not likely to go to the city of Ibadan and drop sachet water. He has acknowledged elders. He has acknowledged community. He has acknowledged the concept of fairness. It does mean therefore, and I hope you don't depart from this cultural stem cell, that where you grow, you do a little better than us. We're fighting for all this, but we still have a lot to fight for. We're fighting today in the university for a better system. We're fighting for ASU. We're fighting for NASU. We're fighting for which are the other? SANU, NATS, and the rest. Government improve on our. But in all our fights, the toilet that leads there and the toilet that leads there, the women who clean them are receiving less than the minimum wage. Is this the kind of African that we want to be? Is this the promise of our culture? And if they come in here, they are our aunties and our uncles. You know them by the way they look. We're asking for government to give us students loan. And I'm not saying we should not do it. But when we feel comfortable with 10,000 per month. When we are insisting no professor should have less than plus millions. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gently partaking in slavery. We are partaking in slavery. And it's about time we Africans begin to tell ourselves this truth. And I wish to inform you that it is not always that these monies are given to these people on a monthly basis. And sometimes you don't see them anymore. And after about 3 months, you say, what happened? They say, didn't you hear? Didn't you hear? So we move on. Hope is not lost. We can't solve all the problems in one day. I do know by the strength of the core of African cultures, which Mark Iwagu has used in blessing and starting this conference today, we'll tap back to the core essence and the most, what I call, most cherishable aspects of our past. Take them, integrate them into our social practices. Take them, integrate them into our curriculum. Take them, integrate them into our social relations, so that young people, we should also begin to learn. And I'm sorry to say, I'm not one to blame young people. I've talked to you about what I think we are feeling in. But why don't you also consider responsibility first before right? The government is doing nothing. Okay. Government is doing nothing. And the little that has been done, you violate it. And you're only privileged to be here. Not all Nigerians are privileged to be here. So it's not the government you're fighting. It's the resources of Nigeria that you are probably wasting. So we all have a duty to be good to our nation. We have a duty to be good brothers and sisters. And the last way I would like to cap this up in terms of the integration, of what we're doing now and the global community, the global black community. The resources in your country, ladies and gentlemen, is enormous. The resources in your country is enormous. And what I'm going to plead with us is to get realistic about the truth. I come from a radical perspective, but I have a duty not to deceive you that it is easy. Leadership is not easy at any level. So let us also first and foremost try to be leaders within the structures of change that we intend, to bring over in society. When we do that, then we know how to change society better. Because when we do not do that, then we give a problem to how society is also changed when we have the means and we have the opportunity to do it. So this is the kind of nexus that I think is still missing. We should insist on systems of deliberative governance, deliberative governance in which you want to take and accept the opinions of other people. When you want to be right alone, you find yourself isolated. When you do not want the voice of the other sections of society, then you find yourself isolated. And when you are, please can somebody intervene? And when you are isolated, you find that invariably Murtala, Obasanjo, First Start, and the rest of it, right? But there's a reawakening now about our diaspora. Please, ladies and gentlemen, do not let our diaspora just be about the money they are bringing. I mean, the money should come, and there are things we should never do with our diaspora. A person comes, and the first thing you are saying to folks from the diaspora, you don't speak Yoruba. What do you speak? You don't speak Igbo. So you can. That is most insensitive. Some of them represent aspects of our folks who were taken away about 500-600 years ago by violence. And for those of you, I should quickly make this clear, because in talking about our stem cells, our cultural stem cells, and how we intend to improve, we should not allow distortion of information about our past. Your understanding of diaspora does matter. If you are starting from the assumption that our rulers sold us, you are committing a horrible crime against the memory of the past. What happened was, from the literature, our rulers and leaders in society were traumatized by the violence of these conquering forces. And the centuries after, they didn't need to tell the others what to do. This is like the 7th time that a nation will come in the same manner to another nation. And these are places I've visited, that I've walked in. Caracas is one. Tell me, the leader that comes after Maduro, do you need to tell him not to sell cheap oil to the United States? When I come and I bombard you and I wound you and I give ammunition to you and I give ammunition to your cousins, I say, enslave them if you do not. That is the particular story of Badagry. After a while, our mothers started shaving their hair in order to look young. And in looking young, so that they could preserve the younger women, because they said, they are going to kill the entire generations and race here. So they offer themselves to be sacrificed. So they appear like they are running a boat. The slavers to come and take people who are like 50 or 60. They will shave their hair in order to look a little younger. That is the story. So where did you get all these funny stories? They give people wine and all that. All of the wine thing came afterwards. In Angola, Congo, they were trading. Some of the places also, they will do a bit of cabaret in the ship. They will do some partying on land. On a sudden day, the ship moves. We have letters written to the king of Belgium. So where are you getting all of these stories? All this funny social media? Anybody that has a handle over social media just spews all kinds of nonsense. So this is your own story. Yes, there are people who betrayed Africa. And that is the story of mankind. But you are the only set of people that have said, when we say about slavery, say, yeah, Africans betrayed. I have never heard anybody say, what do you call it? Holocaust. We Jews also. Whoever, did you ever hear that? What manner of people are you? If you you're looking for a society where there will be no collaborators at all, it will never happen. It will never happen. There will always be people who betray the general cause. But the essence, if people wanted to be enslaved, they will not be manacled by the feet. They fought with the hand. That's why they got them. They fought with the mouth. That's why they clamped their mouth. And when they even clamped their mouth, they still kept resisting. And that's why they gave them the water of attenuation. And the water of attenuation made them sleep until they found themselves on the ship. Are you aware or are you not aware? So please, it's important. We come from a past that do not settle. I'm going to round up now, Mike. Do not settle for anything that's second class. When you ask me, laboratory equipment, is this good? They say yes. I say, what do they use in Harvard? They say, is this one? I say, is there one that is better? Is there one that is better? I do not have time to be behind Harvard or Oxford. I have a duty to be over and above because I'm the primary continent here. I know the period of primitive accumulation of labor put my own folks in the fields. And I know what primitive accumulation means in political economy. I know how it makes a different part of the world grow a lot faster. I am not preaching hatred. I'm saying it is your capacity. And please stop demonizing your past. The prayer here today, harmonize Islam, Christianity, people of Ishashe and stop demonizing your past. When you do not understand what the past is, ask. I really don't know what else you want. You are given a numbering system by a scholar called Oromila, who called AG and all that. But because of the mistranslation, they said it's not beyond 200 or 2,000. Who told you that? It's about the only counting system that you do not even need another language to add anything to it. In English, after I get to 1,000, I say meal. Not from French, as you claim, it's from Latin. And then the moment you start talking about quintillion and all that, you are picking from Greek. But if you understand the corpus of your language, it moves to infinitum. You can open it up, it moves to infinitum. So now that you know, reverse all that your nonsense about your own past. That's your own past that you have caused. Reverse all nonsense you might have said about Orumila. Reverse all nonsense that you might have said about Ogun. But you do not know that symbolization was the way the people of old spoke. You symbolize a thing with something you will remember them by. So you are talking of somebody who was in metallurgy on iron. Those of your people who are taken in slavery, when I'm in Cuba and I'm in Brazil, they do not describe Ogun the way we are describing. They describe him in terms of being somebody who's like a metal engineer. They describe Shango in terms of electrostatic traps and things that have to do, with electricity. So I really don't know why we want to move forward and then we want to just say these things at a superficial level without integrating them to our thinking systems. We have to integrate all this into our thinking systems. This is what I'm going to suggest to us. And in wrapping up, I'm going to really plead that we all stand up for a second. Please, can we stand up for a second? And quietly in your mind, I don't want anybody to demonstrate like a Pharisee, Pharisee or anything. Privately in your mind, ask for forgiveness for the way, if you ever use a wedu, if you ever use a abiwere, if you ever use all the leaves that our ancestors put together, that is making us healthy, that's making our mothers, traditional birth attendants, what do they call them? Olojojomo and all of them. Please ask for forgiveness about what you have said about the nonsense, about your ancestors having brought evil here and all that. Other people's ancestors don't bring evil. Do not say it out. Ask for their forgiveness and you shall be so given.
Can we give him another round of applause, please? Can you give him a round of applause? For those of us who do not know what topic to give his keynote address, his topic is cultural identity as resistance, the role of indigenous knowledge in national development. That is the topic of his speech. And because I'm moderating and we don't have much time, we will have the two keynotes together and we'll have the panel sessions after, so that we would have a robust conversation. And for the second keynote, with the topic, decolonizing development, what can Africa teach the world? And from what we've heard first, you'll see that it is the next step of that conversation. After we have all, I want to believe that we all ask for forgiveness. It is now time to know what to do next. And for that, I will invite Professor Fausat Ibrahim. Please can you give her a round of applause? She also has 20 minutes.
I hope I can exhaust it. I'm not as strong as Bami. May God forgive me if I ever thought evil about my past, about my culture, about my grandfathers. May God forgive all of us. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All right. It is indeed a privilege and an honor to be asked to give a keynote address in this very significant culture, very significant conference about and about preserving our cultural identity. And of course, I don't need to dwell so much about the significance of palm wine. Palm wine is a social phenomenon. It's a ritual of governance, of togetherness. It features in our communal lives when we welcome new members of society, when a child is born. I mean, those are about the most important times, the happiest times in a typical communal African society when children are born, when we're praying for couples. So it's a powerful, palm is a very powerful social institution. There's no doubt about that. Beyond talking about that, today I would like to talk about palm wine as a social phenomenon and as a powerful metaphor. As a powerful metaphor of preserving culture and of ushering in authentic development, which definitely isn't out of reach. When we look at palm wine, what are the processes that the social phenomenon passes through in the society? Palm wine is usually tapped, right? That's always the first step. We tap palm wine. And then we gold it, G-O-U-R-D. And then, of course, it is shared. Of course, individuals take palm wine, but when we talk about palm wine itself, it usually features in communal settings where you have a group of people, where you have social gatherings. It is shared. So I want to use that as a metaphor to once again challenge us about the significance of preserving our culture, which I believe is the theme of this conference. Now, when we tap on wine, we are talking about tapping into our indigenous knowledge, local expertise. I mean, that's why we have the Institute of African Studies. The research that you and I are engaged into, we're already tapping the palm wine. We're already tapping palm wine. So, I just need you to appreciate, of course, you would have, but I want you to appreciate more the fact that your MA thesis, now you think is just, let me do it, let me get an A and get good grades. It's beyond ordinary thesis. You are tapping the palm wine for Africa's authentic development. That's the ultimate goal. And when we tap into our roots, into the local expertise, and when we don't speak evil, or when we don't talk down about our indigenous resources, that's us tapping into our cultural knowledge. Then garden, G-O-U-R-D, it's about preserving these cultural resources, this cultural knowledge in our existing institutions, socio-political institutions. It's not enough for us to tap into our knowledge and then make it just gather dust. And that's why I often challenge my colleagues. For anyone that have known me before now, I always say, it's not enough to be an intellectual, you have to be an activist. You have to speak up. Because it's not enough for us to have all this beautiful indigenous knowledge. Very beautiful, very great. But we tap into them, we do all the research. We need to guide it. The way that when you tap palm wine, you're going to put it in the ground. We need to tap it. We need to guide them in our institutions and social practices. I could go on and on about examples of how we need to, embed cultural knowledge in our institutions. But I'm sure you have ideas. I mean, when my director was talking earlier on, he talked about how the Chinese have been able to retain their cultural resources. How is it? How have they done it? Why should it be a problem that our students should learn about history, for goodness sake? Should learn about our history. Why can't we have so many ideas from our culture coming into how we handle our political institutions? I'll give you an example. Imagine in a bureaucratic, in these bureaucratic institutions where we find ourselves. If you are in the civil service, for instance, let's assume there has been a man there who has been working for so long, and then here comes this graduate that is both, that just finished youth service. Because this old man does not have a degree, what happens? This graduate is made to become the boss of the old man, who is probably old enough to be his father. That is the contradictions in the system. How is he supposed to succeed? Having, becoming the boss of people that are as old as your own father. So the point really, those are the contradictions, those are the things that doesn't make things work. Because you see, the bureaucracy and the way we do our things generally, they are products of the cultures of where those practices are coming from. Those ideas do not drop from the sky, they are products of their own culture. And the last but not the least is in serving. Actually, there is no way you get your your base knowledge. There's no way your base knowledge will come from an African resource that it will not serve the majority, that it will not be in the interest of the community. So in serving, it has to be about serving, dishing out policies that serve the interests of the community, of social cohesion. It's never a focus on the individual. Those are the things that distinguish us as Africans. That is the serving part of it. So I need us to remember that palm wine is a social phenomenon, and it is a powerful metaphor that should continuously remind us about what we need to do to keep preserving our culture and to make our culture serve the interests of authentic development. Now, permit me to also say that at this point in history, I don't think there has been a very good time to actually champion our culture and our ideals than the current state of world history. Because you see, it's always about, to particular America, it has always been like that. I remember when I was in secondary school, we had to have a debate with a neighboring school. And the title of the debate is, "The Coming of Europeans to Africa is a Cost." Oppose or support. Of course, my school opposed. And in our colonized minds, we even found it laughable at the time that, why would you say the coming of the Europeans is a cause? You know, we found it laughable. But there is an opportunity right now for introspection. Because the moral bankruptcy of the West is now a fact that is so open in broad daylight. I mean, if you have been following the news, we heard about what happened in Venezuela recently. I couldn't believe it. And it's not as if these things have not been happening. It's just the nature of Trump, being Trump, that brings everything out in the open. It's not as if that's not the way things have always been. I challenge you to read about Saddam Hussein in Iraq and why he was killed. And why, after being killed, it was very clear that the evidence upon which his country was invaded was nothing but a hoax. So, it is a very big opportunity. The moral bankruptcy of the West has been exposed. It is a time, it is a great opportunity for introspection. It is a great opportunity for us to really understand that, all these people that we look up to for our frames of references, what is it that they have to offer? Because eventually, it's about your goodness. It's about, preserving lives, humanity, preserving dignity, doing the best that we can, and of course, working towards authentic development. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. Please, can we give her another round of applause? Thank you very much. And she has managed time quite well. So, thank you very much. And I should say, I find most fascinating palm wine as social phenomenon and palm wine as a powerful metaphor. And I think it's a good one for us to now see our effort in academics as effort in being tapas. And it reminds us of the palm wine drink act. and the extent that, yes, Amos Tutuola, and the extent that Tutuola, okay, and the extent that we all can go in finding our purpose. So today we can say our teachers are tapas, and we hope that someday we also become tapas. Growing us to be tapas. So thank you very much. So because of our time, we will be moving to the first panel, but I'll give room for 2 questions for the 2 keynote speakers, just 2, so that the first panel would have the interventions during the panel, and we can have a more robust house conversation. So I want to ask, do you have any questions for the 2 panelists, for 2 keynote speakers? Mr. President, I would, please, do you have another person? Okay, you have, okay, that's number 2. So before the questions, because it's also coming first, we would have a good message from the President of African Studies Student Association, the Graduate Students Association in the Institute of African Studies, Mr. Ali Quadri.
First and foremost, I appreciate the Honorable Commissioner for attending this program. Also, the Director of African Studies, Professor Sule Oloriyemi, and professors, the colleagues, chiefs, and everyone. I welcome you to this conference today, and I pray that the spirit and the glory of Africa will not die. And I pray that we move forward as we are trying to elevate Africa, as we try to resuscitate what I've lost in Africa. I pray that all our effort will not go in vain. So I appreciate you all for coming here today. Thank you so much.
Before you go, ask your question. And before you ask, I would like to also recognize the presence. When I was greeting our guests, Dr. Lafenwa had not come, so he's here now. Please can you give me a round of applause? And the Mogaji. The Mogaji is here, Professor. You also thank you very much, sir. Thank you for coming. And for any other person who are not called, thank you for coming. So we'll have the questions. You have 30 seconds to ask your question, please.
Okay, thank you so much. My question is going to be directed to our new director. And the question is, using stem cell as a case study to preserve our culture and history, how do we correct the custodians of culture? I mean, the elders, who actually rely on the history written by the Westerners to present themselves. We see the issues going on, contradictions between the Oni of Ife and the Oyo king. So how do we correct this? Because looking at the stem cell system, we are talking about the history that actually started from there, not what the Westerners tell us. So they are talking about Olugua, that Olugua came here to settle here. But in Ifa, do we actually refer to what they speak? Ifa, do we actually refer to it? Ifa told us that Odua descended part of the Romani. Yet, the Westerners told us that Odua came to Ile-Ife. So how do we correct all this misrepresentation? Thank you so much.
The second.
question is, how can we balance the discrepancies between our adopted Western religion and Middle Eastern religion with our own traditions? Because it means there is conflict of beliefs and ideologies.
You've got to be brief back. Stop. We are welcome, Mogaji, once more, sir. And Professor Makwan was quite excited when he heard that you have arrived. We looked forward to your arrival. So, but we'll hear his voice very soon. Please, don't let me disappoint those who ask the questions. We cannot expend much time. There will be time for expansion of this conversation later. There's a sense in which I think the two questions are quite similar. If you agree with me, they are both cogent in their independence, but there's a meeting point. I think the core issue is how, of what you're saying, the concept of the stem cell. How can we ensure that it finds its best replication and differentiation and its capacity to retain essence in view of the contradictions in society now? And I suspect it's in that spirit too that you meant. If that captures it a bit, and I think you're also trying to help me give a hint that could the originary of Ifa be one area in which I may wish to track the story of the stem cell? Yes. Now, the scholarship of it, coming from the sky, moving from, I don't think it's as simple as Europeans telling us that we came from this. No, Africans also said that. The question how the language of ancients is symbolic. I could say you've come from the sky, and I'm using it totally not because I mean that you come from the sky. Do you get what I'm saying? Let me give you a proverb. An oxen is a cucumber. So, for about 70 years, it was used as evidence of lack of logical thinking by Africans, by the West, among the lower people of Sudan. When they say an oxen is a cucumber, kete, how can kete be how can it be cucumber? Doesn't make sense, isn't it? Now, whereas what they meant is barado, afu beshebo. That is, in the absence of an oxen, you could use a cucumber. That's what that culture meant. There's a third aspect that is retained in the culture. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's retained in the culture. If you are part of the culture, you know it. You know, because not everything is fully spelled out. Language is what you call summary. Part of understanding in life is also what you might want to call being part of the interpretive community, the community of understanding. It's okay, and it's not a big guessy. Interpretive community. The Lord is good. The Lord is good. Do you understand? So that's because you are part of an interpretive community. So you are not part of that embarrassment that I created for my family. I left church for a while. So when they said the Lord is good, I said, sure! And everybody looked back. That who is that idiot? The Lord is good.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Do you want to add to the answer, man?
Somebody asked a question about
religion.
Yeah, about inconsistency of religion. Thank you for that question. I think it's a question of where we are coming from and how well we understand what we may be condemning from afar. Because you see, in my doctoral thesis, Ifa literary corpus was part of my sources. And obviously I'm a Muslim. And when I talk to people, I'm not talking about in this kind of community anyway. In this kind of community, people appreciate what Ifa literary corpus is. When I talk to them that I do Ifa literary corpus, it's still always about people's understanding of what things are. And to the best of my knowledge, I'm also not claiming to be a scholar of Islamic religion. To the best of my knowledge, everything within our culture is permissible and is acceptable until it contradicts Islamic principles. Until and unless it contradicts Islamic principle. When there are matters of contradictions between what we call God. So, well, I think the problem is more about impatience. It's more about preconceived notions, about condemning so many things. I mean, there was a conversation or a little debate about my humble self and one other person who were talking about Aji. So there was this idea that as Muslims we should not say things like Aji Awobawo, Aji Tao, like it's like giving privacy to Aji, the way you say that Aji Keita. And for a long time I held on to it until I was also educated that you have to consider things in context. And I'm not asking you, I'm not telling you exactly what to do now because I understand that Islamic jurisprudence, you just don't give your personal opinion and things like that. And I'm not saying I'm very versed in it. But I think the problem is more of not even trying to understand what it is we're talking about before we begin to condemn. I have had a lot of experiences when I start talking about Ifa literary corpus. Already people are like, and Ifa literary corpus is a body of knowledge. It's a body of knowledge for goodness sake. It's not necessarily about me taking away my faith from Islamic religion. So, know the specific elements of the culture. I'm not going to tell you that if your religion preaches against it, you should go ahead and embrace it. I won't tell you that. But know the basics. Understand what you want to condemn before you actually condemn it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Sorry, the name of the president of ANSA is not, what you said, Quadri what? Alime Quadri, please, on whose behalf did you take that Ifayame away? Is that not your surname? No, please, on whose behalf did you do that? On whose behalf did you do that, Michael? This is not right. We need an apology. It's not right.
So, this is an apology to the President and to the Institute. So, I forgot. So, and it's also, if I miss a Babalawo, I should say that. So we'll be moving to make things fast, we'll move into the first panel. And for the first panel, I'll be inviting up Dr. Lafinwa. Please, can we give him a round of applause? Dr. Stephen Lafinwa, Professor Omulaji Omilage, and Mogaji, Professor Omulaji Omilage, also, and Dr. Honorable Commissioner, Dr. Wasiu Olatokunbo. And the conversation in about 20-25 minutes Okay, Dr. Wasi Olatunbosu, please, apologies once again. So the conversation, sir, please. Up, sir. You can take that side, sir. Please, can we clap for them? So the conversation is about the role of African traditions in enhancing good governance. The role of African traditions in enhancing good governance. Fortunately, I'll be moderating the panel, and I should say that the profile of our panelists is quite Mogaji, Professor Remulajo Yelade, is a Mogaji in Ibadan land. So he's part of an indigenous institution with a very unique, in fact, the only one in the world with that system of succession. So please, I'll give you a round of applause. We also have the Honorable Commissioner, who is a commissioner in that area of conversation, on tourism and culture. And we also have Dr. Stephen Mafinawa, who is a scholar majorly in legislation. And it shows that the conversation here is about governance. So the first question I want to ask is, it's indigenous knowledge, sir. And how will we manage, I'm asking you, how will we be able to manage indigenous practices, more policies and governance, and staying true to the future of African life? So I'll start with Mogaji.
Okay, can you take it?
So how have you been able to manage being part of a traditional indigenous system, being part of a modern system, which is a unity, and participating in global organizations? I am aware of your emphasis of globalization. So the question is, how do you manage the differences, and how have you been able to navigate being a traditional ruler in the capacity of a professor of literature, English literature?
Okay, thank you very much. I salute the organizers of this the colloquium or seminar. Of course, my appreciation to the chief who invited me. Apologies for coming late because I was just getting into town, I was attending some other program outside of Ibadan. Professor Uwagu, you are welcome, sir. Thank you very much. It's good to see you here. And my brother, the Honorable Commissioner, thank you for all the support you have been giving to culture, tourism, everything else. Yeah. You have been a very great ambassador of society and also of Ibadan land. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think the question touches at the heart of what we should be dealing with in the 21st century African society like ours. It is not just about me. It's not, I'm just a decimal point when it comes to leadership, how we can appropriate. And my own idea about this is that we need to appropriate as well as to disengage. The professor of political science and representational democracy is around us here. But I have been thinking about it. I was asking myself, how would it have been if our own kind of representational, constitutive democracy was not aborted by colonialism? How would it have been to also export our own kind of judicial system, that is constituted in the authority of the Ogboni court? How would it have been if we can transfer this to other societies beyond Yoruba land or even beyond Africa? We have had successful so-called democratic, in quotes, governance system all over Africa, encoded in the cultural philosophies of the people. You have the Ashanti Himalayan, you have the Oyo Empire, you have the Pulaku of the Fulani, the Fulbe. That tribe that has been so traduced in this century that we did not know whether even some form of blood of the Fulbe is flowing in some of us. Anyone who has been a citizen of Oyo Empire and who have had grandparents in Oyo Ogomosho clause will know that there are Fulbe people who are entrenched in Yoruba Empire, who are Fulanis. You need to read more about the Pulaku system, which is very close to our own Omoluabi code. Imagine that this was not corrupted or misnamed by the incursion of the Western so-called democratic system. So the question is, what is the kind of democracy we practice in this country, for instance? And does it engender good governance for us as a people? Because I think we are talking about indigenous African system. And I thought that everything about governance, about leadership, is ingrained in our culture, in our tradition. And unless we come to terms with that, to disengage with the so-called Western democratic system, and if we are not able to disengage from it, to appropriate the good that is in it and use it. And that is where the monarchical system is very important. If the monarchical system is not important, why do we still have the Queen and the King of England? Why do we still have kings in Morocco? Why do we have kings in Spain, in Sweden, and so on? Who are not just mere figureheads, who have representational powers on how to govern their societies. It's a long one. So for me, I was asked, how can you be a professor of English and then, you submit yourself to, to the traditional Ibadan monarchical system. At the time, about 5 years ago, I said it was even some kind of regret for me, because when my father died in 1975, nobody took on the title of Mogaji. And they waited and they said, you are going to be the Mogaji, even as long as when I was still 14 years old. But I had to wait almost 40 years to become Mogaji. And now I know what I have missed in terms of how to become much more relevant beyond the four corners of the classroom, to become much more relevant within the society. And I didn't need any kind of dispatch, signing and all of that. You don't have to be called the excellency or whatever. But think about the Yoruba Oyo Empire and imagine that it was not truncated as far back as 1820, 1830. That is the dilemma that we have as a people now. But we already have democracy, which we call democracy. We already have it. How do we use it? How do we appropriate it so that we don't have the worst set of people who have become so much popular by dint of their corruption and amassing of wealth, ruling those who have ideas, but who are few? That is the contradiction that we have in our country right now. Thank you.
Yes, can I give you a round of applause? Thank you very much. Thank you. Honorable Commissioner, I'm going to come to you. Okay. Because he has mentioned, because you are part of the government, and we take that. But I'm going to go to our professor in representative governance. And I want to ask, from where it stopped, the dilemma of democracy, indigenous knowledge, Ibadan, or your old empire, and the so many systems we have across Africa. Where do we go, or what has been the trajectory in scholarship, and what can we learn from it?
Thank you very much, and I want to stand on existing protocol. And I want to thank Magadi and Badoza and all the people that are invited. You know, first and foremost, we need to first of all understand the fact that the definition of politics itself, most of those definitions were given by non-Africans. And we all believe that because they were given by non-Africans, we should follow, or they are not, the definitions are not valid for us in Africa. Whatever definition you may have for politics, for governance, whatever, is as good for Africa and valid for Africa as they are valid for other world societies. We really need to understand our own context. What is our mode of production? What's our, the external linkages that we have with the outside world? In fact, when I was teaching Africa, politics in Africa, the first thing I discovered is that most of the archaeological findings trace human civilization to Africa, with many evidences. But because of the political changes that we underwent as African societies, via, I will not call it colonialism or colonial whatever, it is Western capitalist penetration. They penetrated whatever and stopped development in Africa and imposed their whole system, which has altered everything, almost everything. And that's why if we can embrace the best of our traditions, we govern with our conscience, not with the law that they have imposed on us. Because they use two instrumentalities to transform our socio-political economic systems in Africa to their own: prohibition and through the process of constitutionalism, impose their constitutions. But we are talking about embracing the best of our traditions so that we can govern with our conscience. And when we govern with our conscience, development will follow. Development is not using sophisticated technologies, because some of us think that, that's why we have to key in. Development means solving your problem in your own way. And African, societies have been solving their problem, only God knows them. They took delivery, haven't they? We were given that. There are so many things that we were doing before they came. But when they came, they distorted the process of development here. And that's why I've never called Nigeria or referred to Nigeria as a democratic state. We only have civilian administration. And that is different from the democracy. The true democracy was practiced in the York Kingdom. There is this spirit of communalism. Your community first. Before you consider any other interest, it's your community. Today, are we considering our community? The community you belong to, it is the interest of that community that is paramount to you, or what you stand to gain. Look at the democracy we have today. Somebody will be in a party in the morning, by afternoon to have changed to another party, and in the night you will be hearing him, registering with another political party. Is that the kind of democracy that our forefathers practiced? There is a system of accountability. The kings, the emir, they are answerable to the councils. And if you misbehave, you know what to do.
Their life, can be what? To go and commit what? Suicide. The Oyomesi, they are not just there as, like we have National Assembly, they have been tagged, by the president. They speak truth to the power. But today, what do we have? In fact, most of the state legislators are just like, they are only known by the plate number on their vehicles. When it comes to making, laws that will impact the people, we are there. We talk about, transparency. Open gatherings in the African setting is not just for gathering alone. Thank you very much, Ma. You discuss about serving, the palm wine. It is about service. They settle disputes. Difficult, intractable conflict are settled when they gather in the room. They talk about the development of their country. But today, we are the town hall meetings. They don't do that again. And that is why we have missed it. Until we go back to the root this time. We are not going to get it right. Because the democracy that we are practicing today, the democracy was imposed from outside. And whatever is not indigenous to you cannot be your own. You tell people you can't borrow development. We are borrowing development. Models, all the models have failed. And that's why they categorize Nigeria as one of the countries never to develop. Because we have post-developed countries, we have developed countries, developing countries, undeveloped countries, and never to develop countries. So we have been borrowing everything, idea here and there. And we have those ideas here. The only thing is that we don't need just to copy everything because things have changed. But what we need to do is identify those values that are key, in the governance of all those kingdoms that were mentioned by Magaji. And we can put them into our system and get the governance. Don't talk about good governance. Every governance is supposed to be good. It is misnomer. Why are you there in government? Is it not to provide services for your people and serve them? But when they want to deceive us, say good governance. Where is bad governance? It's not because the values have been removed. And today, most of the political institutions that worked for us in the past, they have been turned to work mere organizations. When you talk about institutions are not just a set of rules. What defines institutions are the values. And when you remove values from institutions, you only have mere organization, structure. What we have today all over, from the local to state to federal, is just mere organization, structures that can be put there and dismantle tomorrow. But when you talk about values, values is what will control your conscience. Money is there, everybody likes money, but it is your conscience that will tell you don't steal the money that belongs to every other people. It is not the law, that will stop you. If the law does not stop the policeman from collecting what bribe on the days, is this the law that will not stop you from stealing your money? But your conscience, and when you talk about the root of Yoruba culture, they appeal to what? Our conscience. That whether people are there or not, you do the right thing. So that's why I will say, we have to retrace our step back. There is greatness within Africa. We have to reawaken it. Thank you.
Please, can I give you a round of applause? And I will also say, I witnessed of the Kegites about a year ago, and I was glad in that culture of transition in the Kegite club. Please, can we give the Kegite club a round of applause? They remind us of how we can practice indigenous systems within modern times, and our values are still intact. Please, can we give them a round of applause once again? And I'll be going to the commissioner now, and it's the tough one, because you are in government, sir. And you are in the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. Usually, those ministries are treated with, if it is not finance, it is not works, I mean, they say, okay, yeah, just give somebody that would be So the question I want to ask you is, what is your position in the conversation about indigenous systems in modern democracy, in the democracy we have now, as an insider? That's the first question. The second question is, there's a conversation ongoing about, it has been for a while, swelling in with indigenous and traditional methods, possible cross the gun, use of gun, yes, and things like that. What's your position on that? And finally, what will you say is the future of the Ministry of Culture and Tourism in relation to governance in Oyo State?
Sọ wípé ìbálòpọ̀ tó kọjú sí wọn ìbálòpọ̀ ìgbà tó wò lókèlókè ìgbà pátí ọ̀rọ̀ ìgbà pẹ̀tẹ́sẹ̀ ìbálòpọ̀ tó doríkodò tí ò gbọdọ̀ sọmi tí ò gbọdọ̀ sẹ̀jẹ̀ tewúrẹ́ bá wọlé tí ò kágò yóò dọ̀rọ̀ àmúso tákùtà bá wọlé tí ò kágò yóò dọ̀rọ̀ àmúso ǹjẹ́ mi wá sí ìwàjà ní ọdún ní ọmọ ìyá alágbo wọlé lónìí mo kágò ẹ̀yìn ìyá ọ̀rọ̀ mo kágò ẹ̀yìn ìyá ọ̀rọ̀ mo kágbọ́ ẹ̀yin ìyá o mo kágbọ́ ẹ̀yin bàbá mo kágbọ́ ọmọ kékeré mo dẹ̀ kágbọ́ àgbàlagbà ẹ má jẹ́ kí n dẹran àmúṣòwò. The director, sir, and just permit me to sit on our already established protocol. You are making me to use language that I don't like. But because I believe that the only language that God understands is Yoruba. The moment we, the owners of the language, decided to do otherwise, we started having problem. But this is an academic environment. If I don't speak your language, you will say, you know now, I want to say now, I'm a boy, but let me quickly say this. Where are we coming from? Where we are and where we are going? I listened to Prof. Alada, and I will start from there. Our problem, the problem we are having today started with imperialism, colonization. They came with their religion, they came with their culture and took away our culture and indigenous content of our culture. They say, ẹni tó bá ń ṣe egungun, ẹni tó bá ń ṣe fá, kò lè lọ sọ́run. I always ask them, could you please show me someone who has been there before and say, okay, religion won't practice rather alone. They said, that was many years ago. If you have been following what is happening now for the past 2-3 years, when we step up or have August
August 20 is a day. And it was eventually embraced all over the world. For the first time in 2023, a government came out from white-dominated area in central London. And no single black man and they came the other time to tell us that they go there. Today, when they came, they said before that. Because we believe that we should package and repackage our content. Many whites are now coming to Nigeria, to Africa, most especially Yoruba, Ibadan, or Ife, to get initiated. And it's because they have started to now know the richness of their culture. And I also want to correct that insinuation that God, that you Muslim and Prof who are going to be Christian believe that is the overall head of everybody. Especially people also believe that it is the same Olódùmarè. Ṣùgbọ́n torí wípé ẹ fẹ́ bà wá jẹ́, and that man that they call Ajayi Crowther came and changed the whole thing. It is not a Satan. In your religion, one name messengers of God. Abi? Ditto to Christian. Bí wọ́n ṣe ní messenger of God ń bẹ̀ yẹn, òun ní Yorùbá believe nínú messenger of God. Who are those gods that you are referring to? Gbogbo àwọn messengers of God yìí, àwọn náà wálé ìyànra nìkan tó wá di messenger of God. Ṣé wọ́n ní mo pa? Mo ṣe ní o. Àdáni Isa tẹnumọ́ sí Jesus ní o. Àbí àpòpòlò. Àwọn náà wá kí wọ́n tó padà di. Now, you will now see that they came because they realized that our culture is very, very rich. Now, but rubbish culture, you will embrace their own culture and religion. Yes, could see any culture to perfect. When they came, there were certain things they observed and noticed. But that should not make them to rubbish our culture. By doing that, the generations that came thereafter, we started creating that hatred for our whole culture. And what's the implication? Is where we are at today. Those who are world powers today. I'm not talking of America. I'm not talking of America lo agbára tó ti big ni. But among the two countries tí wọ́n lágbára jù lágbàáyé, number one is China. Àwọn ọ̀mọ̀wé lọ́wọ́ àbí o. Me, I don't know Buko. I don't know Buko. China. Can you rubbish China when it comes to development, modern development? Can you now rubbish India when it comes to high city? It's not possible. Gìràgìrà America ń ṣe ẹ̀rù China ní bá wọn. And most of things they are using in America today are produced in China. Wọ́n kàn bá wọn lórúkọ wọn sí. Why tá a ṣe rí wípé Saudi Arabia ni ó develop jù lágbàáyé? Why tí Israel ṣe jẹ́ the most developed country in the world? Ṣé báwọn sáà ni wọ́n lẹ́sìn tá à ń bá wọn lò? To me, religion does not determine development. Ìyẹn ló fà á bí ká wà nísìn. Now, níbo là ń lọ? It is not depends on each and every one of us. Separate. Alaja, please, separate the culture from religion. Anytime you get to your doing dawa, ẹ máa jẹ́ ká mọ̀ wípé there is difference between culture. The culture gbogbo àti religion and everything, but you have that liberty to take awesome content or you take majority of the content of the culture. Èmi àti àfààní kan fa wàhálà. Iṣẹ́ tí wá sí níta kọ́ ní ìkéwì kọ́ ní oṣù. Mo ní bóyá nítorí pé ìgbà ẹ̀mọ́ ni ẹ́. Mo ní nítorí ilé mi mọ̀ wípé culture mi is my pride. Culture mi is my identity. Èyí náà dẹ́kọ̀ mi wípé sẹ́mi aláwọ̀ rẹ̀ kí ni túmọ̀ rẹ̀? Ọmọ òun mẹ́ntì ń ṣe ok ẹ̀yin tí ẹ̀ ń ṣe gbogbo ń tẹ̀ ń ṣe, are you saying you are more God-fearing than me? So what matters is that the first thing tí prof sọ tí wọ́n sọ wípé CACA's the institution because we succeeded in removing the indigenous content. Now, governance, to answer the second question, how do we not bring that into governance? I've done it, and it's paid off now. What are those things that I'm doing? Immediately, that we came in for second term, they said, Oga promised that he will create culture and tourism. That is, he will decouple culture and tourism from Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism. So, no level kan, some people are saying, it's a lot from a lot of us who are CBT, continue. When I got there, no take-off grant, nothing. You say by inside the bad office, you will see television. Kò sí anything to show that gbogbo nǹkan abáyẹn àwọn lọ já àgbà káàkiri àṣàgbélékì bẹ̀yẹn habitable. And I made up my mind that even those ministries that they are having fund to release for, I will use that indigenous content láti show wọn wípé Yorùbá ló ní àṣà. What did I do? Mo wá jókòó mo study what kí la lè ṣe. Yes, all the stakeholders wọ́n kọ́kọ́ ń doubt me, but they eventually embrace me. And thank God that I have someone, a father an uncle, a friend, Prince Tunde Odulade. He has always been there for me. What are those things? Tí a fi lè promote ministry. Before I came in, Sango Oyo Festival ni wọ́n pè. When I went to former Aláàfin, he said, Wasiu, please, ntí mo fẹ́ látọ̀dọ̀ mo ní pé Sango Festival yìí mo fẹ́ kí UNESCO tẹ́wọ́ gbà. Mo wá lè wà láyé o, mo ní sí láyé o. I want UNESCO to take place. And I said, Baba, I can bless me. I feel really for and we started, and that was 2019. Unfortunately, fortunately in the sense that by 2023 December, Eledua crowned our effort. We went to Botswana to defend Sango Festival, and UNESCO eventually enlisted Sango Festival as World Sango Festival as a tangible heritage. It also interests you that that festival is the only festival enlisted by UNESCO in the entire Southwest. Osogbo they want enlist, not the festival. So what are we saying? Immediately we did that. 2023 happened. By 2024, the number of people coming in to Oyo State increased by 300 to 400%. Fine, and I said, when I finished my first master's with communication language arts, so we want like challenges still. We want to lecture the Ibadan. Our MBT Wawa, the HOD then now told them that communication language arts in Mushe must go. I felt embarrassed, and I was instrumental to the accreditation. After 2 years, okay, let me go and do mass communication. Mass communication is an aspect of communication language arts. As a practical, and I went to Unilag. Mude Unilag, no, I won't take back communication language arts. I will have to do PGD. I will have to do mass communication. I said, okay, no problem. That was when I realized that we are losing a lot of things in Yoruba. So that I'm actually when you move a documentary. No, can move a documentary a Google festival. And I did that documentary. In that local anymore realized that aspect of Igbo, which is entertainment aspect of it, we are giving it away to Brazil. So Brazil catch hold on that, and they are bringing many people to Brazil. They now call their own Igbo Brazil. So, and I say, okay, I will make sure that I change the narrative. So, no, we go. Oh yeah, let's do something. We started in 2024. And we are less concerned about the spiritual aspect of Egogo. We are concerned about the entertainment aspect of it. We had it and it was successful. By 2025, we decided to partner with the Institute of African Studies. Thank God, Director said, we had the first symposium because we want to put it in record. We want the whole world to know that for every Egungun in Brazil, they record nothing less than 200,000 to 500,000. And they have fluffy Egungun. Here, we have fluffy, we have spectacular Egungun. And for 2025 Egungun Festival, it was massive. We recorded nothing less than 18,000, over 18,000 came all over Yoruba, Speaking State, and Republic of Benin came with powerful contingents. What am I saying? Immediately we finish. As at from this year we are planning now, about 10 countries have significant intention to participate. And Brazil, Cuba, America, they now say they want to come and see what we are doing. About 15 international media will wá sí Ibadan láti wá cover story rẹ̀. Kí ló fà? Nítorí wípé I believe we want to use our indigenous content to drive or to let people know that we can do it. Now, the last question to you, what quickly, sir. The last question only I don't know whether you are asking for my own personal view or what, but my own personal view is that the minimum champion course in Sheshe holiday in Oyo State and some part of Yoruba land. So if Timbali champion Timbali champion so definitely, I'm not like President Odulade, T 95%, or let me know, not 95%, but I'll be 60%. Minimum culture, 40% you will be lost to church. It will interest you, man, that entertainment and creative industry started here in Ibadan. Àwọn bàbá arúgbó méjèèjì tọ́jú kó yẹn and some of us àti àwọn ẹ̀gbọ́n méjèèjì tọ́jú ẹ̀gbọ́n mi dájú kó. You are aware that musical concerts started here in the rest of Ibadan, organized by Sigma Club University of Ibadan in early 50s. Later, they came up with creative industry headed by Professor Wale Soyinka. They call it Imbari. Do you understand? And we have Chinachide and what have you. Everything started here in Ibadan. Along the line, military came in and they rubbish it. They are now saying they are doing Dirty December in Lagos. We are not doing Dirty December in Lagos. We started Vibing December in Ibadan. I said you need Dirty December. Vibing December, Tiwa, okay. We had the maiden edition last December. Though we are compiling the report, it was massive. The turnout was massive. And we have succeeded in reducing the percentage of our youth and diasporans who every year they go to Lagos to enjoy their December. Every year they record 18, 20, 25% from Oyo State. And I'm happy to tell you that we succeeded in getting 20 to remain, your state to enjoy that. Now, concerning using that, I'm 100% in support of using Ogun, Sogo, and any other indigenous, I don't call it local, indigenous, to do our home. The day we agree, the day that government adopts that, we won't have problem again. So far in the history, the only government that did that, Chibisa today. And then we record. Bí o ṣe lówó, ó dẹ̀ maintain record. Nígbà tó ń fẹ́ kóra fún mi ní ẹ̀fún mi ní òògùn, wọ́n ní mi get ara mi ò yá. Because no one believe in you. And to create the awareness in anything. And they cannot force them because Baba Constitution ló jókòó. Constitution ni wọ́n ṣe tí kò fi yọ rẹ̀. So you will see that Constitution empower wọn láti ṣe tó bá wù wọ́n. Wọ́n ò ní force wọn láti sọ pé bóyá Bible nìkan fi ṣe or kìnìún kan. So I believe strongly that until when we are embraced, adopt, and we start using our indigenous way of making a love, until when we have that, we won't have accountability. But once we have that, people will be accountable to the people. I don't know how
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. We've taken our time. So I will give 1 minute to everyone on the panel to tell us in practical terms, just a minute, what we should do and do and do for the future sustainability and governance in Nigeria. And I will start from you, sir.
Okay. I think there are some areas of our traditions that we need to work upon. And that I want us to do with the patriarchal structure that we have, which is not allowing women to get into governance. In fact, I'm tired of men leading me. I'm looking forward to that time when we have a woman governor, a woman president, so that I will experience and observe, what they will call the husband. The first man or the first and we have to document some of our unwritten laws, customs. We need to work on our commissioner is here. We need to package them so that other that are coming after us will be able to benefit from what we have.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So, over to you, sir. 1 minute, sir. 1 minute, sir.
Sir, tá a bá fojú ọmọ kékeré mọ̀, òsàn máa ń parí lọ. It is now our responsibility. UI is catching on that by allowing America to send their citizens to UI to learn more about Yoruba. If we continue like this, in the next 20-25 years, all of you will pay for your children to learn about Yoruba culture and heritage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir.
Okay, thank you very much. We use two words interchangeably. and there's nothing wrong, but we must establish the difference. I'm just appealing that we establish the difference between culture and tradition. When we establish that difference, then we can go further and say, okay, this is what we can do. Culture is the essence, like we are playing chess. Chess and chess. Chess is the land, chess is the power. Chess as the study of it, the constitution of it. The constitution of a people is culture, so everybody has culture. All right? That is the essence. But the things that we practice of this culture, the capital C, is the tradition. Please, let us, I don't know, there are people who are here, you can translate it to Yoruba properly. There is a total difference between culture and traditions. And that's why we say there is no African culture, there are African cultures. There is no Nigerian tradition, there are Nigerian traditions, there are Yoruba traditions. We need, that is why we are coming to re-education. We need to codify our indigenous knowledge. I list a couple of things that we need to ask ourselves, they are within the culture, but are we practicing, not even just as Africans, are we practicing as human beings who are liberated? Your birth and naming ceremonies, how do you do? Do you combine the Hebraic with Islamic, with Yoruba when you are naming your children? What name do you give your child? Beauty, marvelous, reckless, paradise. Your kinship systems, before we go to governance, our kinship systems, our rituals, our festivals, our rites of passage, our religion, our spiritual observances, our commerce. When I was young, Miyoko, you are going along the way and you see 1, 2, 3 cowries put beside a bunch of plantain. It means it is 3 pence. You take it, you put the money there and you go. Are we practicing that? So we need to codify it. There's a difference in what you think and what you do. Between what you think as an African or as a human being and what you do, what has been said to you by your pastor or by your imam. And when you are in church or mosque, for instance, and you want to yawn or you put your hand up and your hand hung in between the ceiling fan, and then instead of saying, hey, Muhammad or Jesus, you say, oh, bro, we already know that you are only living a superficial life. We have a long way to go. That's why I say we need to adapt, but we need to codify our system and re-educate ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very, very much. I should say this for observance. It is not the best that we do not have females on this panel. It is not the best. And I don't know what can be corrected in the next panel because there's a second panel. And before that, I should announce that we'll be having a 15-minute gyration immediately after this in the hall. 15-minute Kegite gyration. And after that, I also want to recognize the presence of Prince Tunde Odunlade, who has made it a ritual to respond to the call of the young people for events like this. Please. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Diakola Akono. He's also here with us. Thank you very much. And also LSF Sam Nwauko, the Deputy Editor of Nigerian Tribune, who will be moderating the launch of the Kegite magazine. I want to say this again. If anyone is sleeping or you are dozing in the period that we are here at the moment, please, I want to ask that you wake up. In the next 2 or 3 years, you'll be surprised that the things you used to know have changed a lot. Kegites are publishing magazines now. Kegites are doing conferences now. World Sango Festival, please know that World Sango Festival and our Igbo Festival is now a global, recognized UNESCO festival as well. So please, let's wake up to the realities and to all these modern points that show that there's hope in the things that we do, and these conversations are not a waste. So once again, thank you very much for being part of this panel. The Kegites will give us, would lead the generation.
Please, I'm supposed to leave here by 1. So maybe 5 minutes time, I will have to take my leave. Thank you very
much, sir. Thank you, sir. Kegites. For time, Kegites, you have 5 minutes because there will be generation after the program. So 5 minutes, please. 5 minutes, Kegites. Okay, we would have good photographs.
1 minute or 2 contribution for the audience. Because of people that are leaving. A lot of people are leaving. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Please, please, we want to have group photograph, Abby. Because of those that are leaving. Please, while we are gyrating, while gyration continues, we are taking group photograph. Thank you.
And then please.
So let them take a 5-minute question and answer. Before, that's why we want to take the questions.
I'll borrow your time, 2 minutes. Please. Before we'll have the gyration. But please, before we exit, before the panelists, yes. So our panelists are staying behind until after the gyration. After the gyration, we will have questions. A very short question and answer session. Please, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Oníwà kásílẹ̀ mẹ́mọ́ ìṣòro ẹ̀bùn ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ṣe. Oníwà kásílẹ̀ mẹ́mọ́ ìṣòro ẹ̀bùn ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ṣe. Mẹ́lẹ̀ parun láyé wí. Mẹ́lẹ̀ parun. Mẹ́lẹ̀ parun láyé wí. Mẹ́lẹ̀ parun. jà wá ò ẹ̀gbọ́n tí wá. ẹ̀yin ìṣòro ọ̀rọ̀ ẹgbọ́rọ̀ ìṣeré. òye wá ká sílẹ̀ mẹ́rìnmọ́. ìṣòro ọ̀rọ̀ ẹgbọ́rọ̀ ìṣeré. ìjù gógóró gógóró. igi gógóró bàrí dúró kí má ṣùgbọ́n. ọ̀ṣungbòròwò 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 àdìmọ́lá ọ̀ṣungbòròwò yìnyín ọmọ bọ́mọdé bá jí àsáré òwò bàbá bá jí àsáré ọ̀la ajé olókun lọ́rẹ́ ara ajé olókun ẹ̀dọ̀ míyàn ajé olókun lọ́rẹ́ ara. torí wọ́n ní ìdífá mo màmá ti dífá. wọ́n ní rúbọ mo ti rúbọ nítorí ẹ̀dìrẹ́ ìrànà ẹ̀dìrẹ́ ìrànà aṣọ pọ́ lọ́jọ́ tàrí ọgọ́ngọ́ sọ. a kò lè lè gbé mẹ́lẹ̀ gbé gbé mẹ́lẹ̀ sọ kú sọ mẹ́lẹ̀ gbé. ó yá mẹ́lẹ̀ gbé mẹ́lẹ̀ sọ mẹ́lẹ̀ gbé ìyá dákun mẹ́lẹ̀ gbé. mẹ́lẹ̀ gbé gbé mẹ́lẹ̀ sọ sọ mẹ́lẹ̀ gbé. ẹlẹ́gbọ́n mi pé ẹ kú ìkàlẹ̀ o ẹ̀yin ará. torí ẹkú ìkàlẹ̀ ẹ̀yin bàbá mi ẹ fetí balẹ̀ ẹ bọ̀wọ̀ kan ẹ mọ ẹ tẹ́ka mẹ́mọ́ àmúsára. national headquarters bí yorùbá láṣọ òwò aṣọ àgbò. ẹlẹgbẹ́ bí yorùbá láyà o ayálé kàn ọ́ sílẹ̀ àwọn tó lè mọ́ rẹ̀ ẹ̀mọ́ ẹ̀jẹ̀ ká mẹ́mọ́ àmúsáré. torí bí yorùbá láṣọ òwò aṣọ àgbò. bí yorùbá láyà o ayálé kàn ọ́ sílẹ̀ àwọn tó lè mọ́ rẹ̀ ẹ̀mọ́ ẹ̀jẹ̀ ká mẹ́mọ́ àmúsáré. ẹlẹgbẹ́ màmá àjáyé ó fọ́ o. ẹ màmá àjáyé ó fọ́. ẹ màmá àjáyé ó fọ́ o. ẹ màmá àjáyé ó fọ́. ẹ̀yin àgbààgbà ẹ bá wa káyé ṣe. ẹ màmá àjáyé ó fọ́ ẹ gbére. ẹ màmá jáyé ó fọ́. 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 ẹ̀yin àgbààgbà ẹ lọ sáyé ṣe. ẹ màmá jáyé ó fọ́. orí wọn dòrí kápá apá ò kápá. wọ́n dòrí kó ṣe apá ò kó ṣe. wọ́n dòrí kákọ́ gàgò ṣe é bínú. ọmọ náṣọ́nà èrè. ìbàrẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ ìdíwọ̀. ìbàrẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ ìdíwọ̀. lélẹ̀ kódò. lélẹ̀ kódò. lélẹ̀ kódò. lélẹ̀ kódò. lọ́wọ́ ẹ ló ṣe fàyàwọ́. lélẹ̀ kódò. bí làgbàlagbà mi ṣe tí ó fìdí wá o. bá lọ. Àtẹ̀rẹ̀. Ìgbà kan mẹ́ta. Àtẹ̀rẹ̀. Ọ̀kan kùké ọ̀kan yà lọ. Àtẹ̀rẹ̀. Ọkọ̀ tó kù ṣe tí gbọ̀n ẹ̀. Àtẹ̀rẹ̀. Ọba délé. Àtẹ̀rẹ̀. Ọba kí bàbá mi o. Àtẹ̀rẹ̀. Ọba ẹlẹ́mu mo bá lọ. Àtẹ̀rẹ̀. Ẹlẹ́mu mo bá rè mí. Àtẹ̀rẹ̀. Èmi ò jẹ́ mọ́ o. Èmi ò jẹ́ pẹ̀lẹ́. Èmi ò jẹ́ mọ́ o. Èmi ò jẹ́ pẹ̀lẹ́. Kòsó lóko lóko. Eye bèrè máa jọka. Eye. Kòsó lóko lóko. Eye bèrè máa jọka. Eye. Ẹ̀yà olùdó ẹ̀dá. Olùdó ẹ̀dá o. Olùdó ẹ̀dá o. Ilé Ìbàdàn o. Wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́ o. Mẹ́ta lọ́rẹ́ o. Mẹ́ta lọ́rẹ́ o. Ìhùwà sùnsẹ́ ní. Ní ìhùwà sùnsáyà. Ọkọ̀ ní ìhùwà sùnsílẹ̀. Ojú wo ké mo bá yàyọ̀ lọ. Mo ti lọ mọ okùn, mo ti lọ mọ sá. Mo ti lọ mọ ikú bá lẹ̀ ọ̀rọ̀. Ọ̀rẹ́ wa wọ́n sọkún pàtàkó. Ìfẹ́ǹsẹ̀ ayé sọkún pọkùnrin. Ọ̀sẹ̀ Ìbàdàn kó mo wájà ló. Odídà rẹ̀ ṣe kó yẹ̀yẹ̀. Yẹ̀yẹ̀ ayẹ̀wá o. Yẹ̀yẹ̀ ayẹ̀wá o. Yẹ̀yẹ̀ ayẹ̀wá o. Ayẹ̀wá o. Ó yà rere owó ìṣòro níṣẹ́ kan. Ẹlẹ́gbẹ́bíire bá di ilé ìpàdé. Please, can we give them a round of applause? Thank you very much. Thank you. It's not while students go to class, religious centers, and library, Kegite ensure that they learn this corpus, and it's a highly professional and highly skilled aspect of the club. So please, can we give him a round of applause again? So we'll not waste our time. We are going to question and answers, and because it's interactive session, please, I would like to know if you have questions, please, questions. Okay, number one. Yeah, it will be shared. Okay, please. People in charge, please. Please. Okay, it will be attended to. It will be attended to. It will be attended to. So, other questions, please. Questions. Number 2, number 3. I think that's all we have now. So, sir, you ask your questions together so that they will be answered. Please ensure that you mention the panelists you need to answer the question.
Okay. All right. Standing on the existing... Please, am I loud? Hello? Standing on the existing protocol, I would like to recognize the presence of my able commissioner, our professors, our teachers, and the Supremo Comrado. May your disease belong. Thank you for your performance. My name is Dear Kola. I work with University of Witwatersrand. So, and I'm being invited by the outgoing chief, the AB chief. But let me go straight to my question. My question is directed to my indefatigable commissioner. So I'm only concerned about the safety and protection of the custodian of our indigenous culture, especially those who are at the forefront of Yoruba culture in our state. Because there are so many reports where we got information regarding the victimization of some traditional worshippers in Southwest in particular. So I want to know if there are some safety measures, if there are some legal jurisdiction that cover the protection of our people. My junior brother here asked one question: how can we balance the relationship between the religious adherents and, let me say, the cultural adherent too? But to me, it has been always hard, because to get a balance is very difficult. You can only compromise, because the Muslim will tell you, I'm very sorry if I say this, that in a deen in the law al-Islam, that the only accepted religion from God is Islam. And the Christians will also tell you that you cannot go to God except you come through Jesus. Meanwhile, we also have our own messengers. We have the Orunmila, Ogun, the likes. So how do we balance this? Especially when we find ourselves in a state where the contemporary religious outnumber the people who practice, let's say, the traditional worshippers. We have the issue of Mama Oshun in Ilorin. She was recently attacked. Her house was burned down. And I don't want to mention others in Oyo State here. I know people are very familiar with stories. So, as a very big figure in the government, so is there any protection, safety, habitation for our people? And the program that has been, the program that have been put in place, I really commend you on that, on the Egungun Festival and the likes.
Thank you.
So I want to know how we are going to help these people in terms of safety and protection. That's my question.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The second question.
And we observe it too. Please, all of this, we have to wrap up in the next 10, 12 minutes, please. Please.
So, observation of Juma, please. So, quick.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I respect elders. I respect all people here. My name is Chief Olubunmi Aino Onobolu, the first chief of Lagos State University of Education. I have the utmost privilege of coming from an art and history family, which is the Onobolu family, and coming from a royal family, which is my mother's family. But while I was young, I was limited to my family things. We were told they were bad. But when I grew up, I got to know there was no difference. And this last Eyo festival that took place in Lagos, I had the privilege of participating in it. And I am a Christian, a born and brought up Christian. But after the festival, I went to the church premises. I went to greet people. But people said a lot of things, that Omo Alagba, Ologboyo, things like that. But the response I gave them, without knowing the definite definition, I told them there's a difference between culture and religion. Then they answered me in Yoruba and they said, Shibi Wenishe Soyato Efuwa, and I was mute. I could not tell the difference. But sir, please, I would love if you can enlighten us on the difference. We already told the difference between culture and tradition, but can we get the difference between culture and religion?
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I want, so that we don't spend more time because of Juma, I will give the microphone to the Honorable Commissioner to answer also in 1 minute, sir.
Concerning what my brother asked, and the best way that I can answer that is that I will give you an example. I have one regional pastor in US. He got in touch with me when he saw my activities. Up till now, I've not set my eyes on him. So, and he said he loved what I'm doing. Not like, he loves what I'm doing. What that one implies We are now asking, pastor bó ló ti jẹ́? Ó ní ìyàtọ̀ wà láàrin àṣà àti ẹ̀sìn. So what matters is that, just like what Dr. Lafenwa and Magaji Professor said, we need a lot to do as regards the codification and as regards that. We know that the first thing is awareness, which we have started. And he asked about culture and religion. Culture is umbrella, and we have different things under culture. See, so religion is one. You understand? And other things, Ishe àti àṣà ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. So what I know is that once the awareness is there, people will develop interest, and when you develop interest, you want to know more about that. So thank you.
Sir, please, before you hand over the mic, the first question is about legal protection for indigenous practitioners.
Yes, what we are doing in Oyo State is that we realize that we are repackaging, rebranding Egungun Festival. There is no way that we can do it if we allow them to parade the street. So what we decided was that, okay, let's look for a confined environment. That confined environment led us to Adamu Singba first time. This last year, we did it at the Liberty Stadium. So, and we gave each Egungun some minutes to perform. And we had 185 Egunguns that came all over to perform. People really enjoyed themselves. We started 8 o'clock. We couldn't finish until 6:30 in the evening. People did not go. So that is to tell you about the content and about the package. Packaging only àwọn òyìnbó ń tà fún wa. Ẹ wo àwọn ògùn tí à ń lò. It's also part of our culture. Medicine is also part of our culture. But how many of us ni ó believe nínú pé kò ń lo ewé àti egbò láti treat ara wọn? Wọ́n fi ewé kan hàn mí, mo ti já lọ sílé, wọ́n ní ewé paracetamol. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, kí ló ń jẹ́ ewé paracetamol? So what I'm saying in essence is that awareness ti wá wà nísìn fún àwọn oníṣẹ̀ṣe. If anybody touches any one of them, ẹ rí pé gbogbo wọn, unlike before, tó jẹ́ pé tí wọ́n bá ti na my brother, wọ́n ní tí ẹ nìyẹn. So we have created that awareness, and the government is also, we are having, in a couple of weeks, we will come up with something that will coordinate, will come as an umbrella body for proper coordination and protection for Isheshe people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, can I give you a round of applause? Thank you very much. Fún Àgbà, Prince Tunde Odunlade wants to speak, and I'll give him the mic, sir. Right. 2 minutes, sir.
No, I can't use 2 minutes. No way. But quickly, let me start by saying, given the difference between culture and tradition, culture is that thing that we practice on a daily basis. Tradition are those things that were practiced in the past, and we are still practicing that we don't know why we are practicing it. Tradition, it's something I would describe as somebody who puts a pole in this room and puts some banana at the top of the pole, and it drags in 8 monkeys. What will those 8 monkeys want to do? They want to climb up to go get the banana. But as somebody was sprinkling hot water, so they couldn't ever get to the banana. After that, when they have relaxed and Bakamu, he now comes in and removes one monkey, replace it with another. And that other replacement, what will you want to do? To go get the banana, and the rest 7 were pulling him down. Then, and he keep replacing and replacing until he replaces all the 8 monkeys that none of them is trying to go up again for reason why they don't know. That's what tradition is. Àṣà lédè Yorùbá, ó túmọ̀ sí pé ṣà, to pick from. To pick from many things. So ìyẹn mi yìí pé ìṣàkúṣà wà, àṣàkáṣà wà, àṣàdànù wà. That's what culture is. Can you see the difference between the two of them? So about religion and then culture. Culture is your way of life. Religion is your belief. You get it? You get the logic? It's your way of life. And look, while we were discussing, while I was having my people at the high table discussing, I came up with something that I will quickly read, even though I have a lot to say, but me too, I got to go. The 3 major description of the colonial exploration, do you call it exploration or you call it exploitation? But whichever one you call it, it's 3 C's. 3 C's, the cross, the crown, and the commerce. The cross, the crown, and the commerce. The cross was the objective of the Christian mission. Commerce was the intention of the Royal Niger Company. And the establishment, the British establishment as the monarchy came in with the crown. First we have the cross that the Christians brought. Whatever intention they had, it's subject for debate among all of us. Did they mean well when they came? Did they come to see, to really introduce that religion to us for better, or they came in to just suppress us? The second one is the crown. The second one is the commerce. After the first visit of the early explorers, and when they were going, they went with a lot of things back. Then they could see commerce. And with all the things they found around us, they established their command with the Royal Niger Company. The third one is a crown. Now the Queen now saw opportunity in this place. So that's what that is. I will quickly share a story, then I get out of your way. Sorry about that. I was in a place in San Antonio, Texas, where I went to do residency at Trinity University. The lady who came to get me from the airport that very evening took me to dinner. And while we were at dinner table, she asked, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Nigeria." I said, "Well, you know that I know that. Wasn't I the one who sent your ticket to you?" But I'm saying, "Where exactly in Nigeria are you from?" I said, "I'm Yoruba." Oh, he said, "Okay." And she kept quiet. The following day at the breakfast table, she laid down some paper about some information she has pulled up about the Yoruba people from the internet. This was in 1990. So internet wasn't quite as free as it is now. So she has to dig. And they said that she found a lot of books, a lot of information about the Yoruba people, very little about our counterpart, our other brothers in other part of the country, and very little about others. But the Yoruba people, she found a lot about them. That she's not going to introduce me as an artist from Nigeria. She will say, "Tunde Odunlade from Nigeria, a Yoruba, Tunde Odunlade, a Yoruba artist extraordinaire from Nigeria." And that to me speaks a volume. So our culture, we need to promote our culture. And too bad the commissioner is not here, because I've been part of his story concerning, promoting culture, the egungun and other things. I have a lot to say, but I'm sure next time we'll still see again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can you give me a round of applause again? Because of our time, we have to launch the magazine, and I'm happy that we still have some of our fathers in the house. So I would invite Mr. LSC Waoko. LSF Sam Owao, please, to the podium for the launching of the magazine. Okay, please, can someone find it for me, please? Can someone locate him? Okay. LSF Sam Uwaoko. Okay. We apologize for the disruptive program.
I also apologize for keeping you waiting. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Hi, chiefs. Let me say, chiefs is the way we, we have to do a kind of mini presentation magazine outside. I don't think we need that, do we? I don't think so. Yes. Professor Wagu, it's a pleasure. It's indeed an honor to see you once again after a very long time. I think the last time I saw him was in 1992. Now, the magazine, as we all can see, it's something novel. It's something innovative. It's something all of us need for the preservation of culture, the preservation of tradition. That is after you have been able to distill which is which. Once you are able to grasp which is culture, grasp that which is tradition. And like Prince Odunlade said, tradition is that which, he said, the one we do not understand but which we practice. That's more like religion for me. Religion is something you do. Sometimes you won't be able to answer some of the questions embedded in it. Now the magazine is here. It's called the Keg Voice magazine. It's launched by the national headquarters of the Kegite Club. I want to urge us to ensure to get one copy and see what's inside. But to lead us a little bit into what we have in the magazine, we have some fantastic articles written by very, very well-groomed writers. Some of them speak to the issues we have discussed today at various levels. And as we can see, it's also very colorful. There's one article here which I know will interest many of us. It's stereotyped, stigmatized, yet standing tall. And that's like the story of the Kegite Club and student governance in the University of Ibadan. For those of us who were in this club some 30, 35 years ago as Kutasis, 1991, 92 session, 92, 93 session, and so on and so forth, this is more like an overview of what some of us saw. And now with this injection of modernity, we will have to see what it's talking about and also tap from some of the ideas that are already included in what has been written. And when we take some of these ideas and blend them with what we have already, it will help in further preservation of our culture and further enhancements of the traditions which we are losing very fast and which we all agree should not be so. Then there is also an article I saw written by Olabisi Olashupo Aladuke. It's poetic. It's like I tried to think in Yoruba when I was reading it. I said, okay, Eddie, Kewi is in way ni, and I would like you to look at it too and see what the Aladuke has written. And the way she started it was what attracted my attention. She said, Orombaro Marufo. And she said, okay, my words, I like to cook like my vegetables. And I think we all need copies of this magazine, but beyond that, we need to encourage the publication, we need to encourage our students, we need to encourage our younger ones who have decided and who have taken this path of preserving the culture, who have taken this path of keeping our culture alive, and who have decided to ensure that we go beyond what we see in the now we have phones and so many other gadgets, how we can make all these things more popular and also help the Kegite Club, which has decided to strengthen our culture, preserve our traditions, to continue in this path. So I wouldn't want to call names because now money we take, produce, and whatever you can use to help us. I personally would like to buy one copy after this, and I'm going to give the magazine. I'm going to buy it for the minimum price is 5,000 naira. So you can reach out to the club, the AB National, Chief Olarinu, and Chief Ogulinu, I'm sorry. Okay. I've been told that the Aladuke is the Alaja in lace. Alaja is I think I enjoyed that, you know. So please, I know the environment where we are in is not an environment of Igbo traders. No, is it the environment of Ogunpa traders, but we can do it. We can call his attention. He's going to give his account number so that we can help to get the magazines off the ground. I don't want to take much of your time beyond what I have done already, so I thank you so very much for this opportunity. Show me 5,000 per annum, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, thank you once again.
Thank you very much, sir.
Who wants to do it?
Yeah.
Where it is like
Okay. 3 copies. 3 copies for Baba.
Please bring the copies.
3 copies for Baba. Okay. Bring the copies. So do we still have? Yes, 3 copies. So please, we can let's get copies.
You people also have to promise. You are not. He can do the English. He's too well brought up. And you bad it's a power. You are from outside, so you'll be donating. Anyhow, contribute. I don't know about that. Look at the George. You have am I contribute, man? Okay, let me first, on behalf of my own son, Ayomide, please, who's taking it? I'll collect it before midnight. Ayomide is donating 5,000, please. Ayomide Alabi. Michael, you can't donate 5 because you committed marriage a few months ago. So, baby, we don't want to divide husband and wife. So, both of you will donate 15,000. Because your marriage has been, that is
the president of ASA will bring us 5,000 before, yeah. I don't know how much Auntie Jimmy wants to give us. But because it will be not polite if I just tell her to bring something.
I'll give something.
Auntie Jimmy will give something. She's always giving a lot here. Please, a round of applause for her. She's given so much in terms of the materials which we use, sometimes to teach, to give instruction. She does these things without any acknowledgement. Always self-effacing, but somehow words have gone round and we know the people behind this. Now, I will do 50,000. Yeah. So please, so meet everybody. But after leaving here, I'm going to pray that you forget. And if my payment does not come in today, the understanding we have, my chief, your AB National, is that this won't hold again. The only condition where I will pay is if you remind me. And you can't remind me until after I leave here for 5 minutes. And within the 5 minutes, I'm going to do a serious prayer that you forget. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So please, we encourage everyone to get copies. The account number is 0224186433. But please, this account number will be shared across members of the Kegite Club. So if you want to buy copies, just reach out to any member of the Kegite Club that you want to get copies, and they will communicate with AB National. So please, let's do that. It's important. Knowledge production is expensive, and we should encourage it. So please, the number, okay, 0224186433. So while we do that, there's a part of the program. Sir, you can rest now, sir. Thank you very much. Please, can you give him a round of applause? Give him a round of applause. There's a part of the program that we will do now, and I'm going to invite Adu Ayodele. He's going to moderate. It's supposed to be a panel, but what we have now is going to be an interaction. And it will probably be the interaction that we've been looking forward to, so that we have much more time to engage. So I will invite Adu Ayodele to the podium. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Adu Ayodele is the former editor-in-chief of Indie Press, Independence Hall, University of Ibadan. And alongside, for that interactive session, I'm going to invite Comrade Kunle Ajayi Wiseman. Please go up. Comrade Kunle Ajayi Wiseman. And the discourse, the interaction will be the cultural Arsenal. Kudos to Arsenal fans. Arts, music, and activism in preserving heritage. So it's an interaction that we look forward to. I yield the floor to you.
All right, so good afternoon, everybody. Please, I would like to get a response. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, thank you all for staying through. So very quickly, we are going to run through the second panel, and we are going to be looking at the discourse, the cultural arsenal, art, music, and activism in preserving heritage. And I would like to implore the gathering to please pay attention. I can see that a lot of Berlin conversations are going on, but I would want us to please pay attention. And that's simply because the session we are going into is a session that is very, very important. We are going to be discussing activism, art. And for a club like Kegite Club, where music is very central, there's a need for us to assess things and interrogate the intersection between art and activism. And just also to mention, I can see that we have a very youthful population here, both literally and figuratively. We have a very youthful population here. And fortunately for us, we have students even from other institutions in this gathering. So I would implore that we pay adequate attention to what we're going to be discussing. So with me this afternoon is Comrade Kole, we call him Wise Man. He is a labor activist, he is a poet, he was one of the key organizers of NSAS. And in addition to all of this appellation, I should also mention that he is a member of the Kegite Club. So he will be joining the conversation, and I would want us to pay good attention. So to start with, I would like to ask, what has been the historical role of art in activism? Of course, I understand that our panel here would understand that activism is a matter of social reforms, changing patterns of things that needs to be changed politically, economically, and all of that. But I don't want us to just go straight to the music. Of course, music is central to the conversation. What has been the historical role of art? And I'm asking that very question for the sake of education. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm Kunle Wiseman Ajayi. Muki Bubile. May your days be long. May you walk and seriously shine. I greet my chiefs, and I want to say that let me start with the fact that it was Karl Marx, the greatest thinker the world ever had, that said that described revolution, which is the base of what art is itself, which is base of what activism is, as a festival of the oppressed. He says revolution itself is a festival of the oppressed. And I'm also happy that our director of the Institute of African Studies here is also a veteran activist and of the older generation. And I know very much that they were very much close to global solidarity and what have you. And there is one key element in activism: the use of song, the use of satire, the use of drums, the use of several elements. And you can see that if you listen to weddings that makes up the language of the Kegite Club, which I think we have not experimented enough or shown enough here at this conference. I expect that one or two chiefs should be part of the moderation, the discussion, using the language of the Kegite Club. Because if you read the curriculum of the Kegite Club in terms of the languages, the vocabulary itself, you will see that it is, the fulcrum of it is in activism. In the Kegite Club, we call, we say some people are comrados. We say some people are comrades. You get it? We use several names to describe several people. You get it? The origin of all of these names is what Professor Remiraji was talking about, codification. And I also want you to know that the element of codification itself has its positivity and negativity. Sometimes the essence of codification is because we are speaking from a weaker point. So we need to codify some things. For some of us who have read deeply or critically Walter Rodney's How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, you could see that so many elements of African culture are codified, not because they want to codify it. For instance, it is now, during the rise of African culture, that eguguns come publicly. We film some eguguns. Like I'm an Ikale man now, we have some festivals that you cannot film. But we are working on it, like the Iwo festival. It's more of like an Iwo festival. What they do is to keep some cultural elements away from the invaders, the colonialists, the imperialists. So sometimes codification can come from a weak part of our elements of culture. But we are witnessing a period in our history where there is a rise in African culture. And that's why I'm very happy with our chief here for having this palm wine conference. I want to say particularly that the Kegite Club should not just make this conference the elements of the national alone. Chiefs, all the chiefs here, please, I do not have the right to ask chiefs to indicate, but I want to ask all the chiefs here to say that this palm wine conference should be a global thing. A palm wine conference should be a global thing where we have such discussions like this. Because one of the things the Kegite Club have been doing is that the Kegite Club has been a cultural arm of the Nigerian student movement over time. It was Chief Olu Dexter who said it in one of the coronations at Ife, I've forgotten the year, that he used to call President Tony Fash my political president. And then Tony Fash responds by saying my cultural president. Because if you listen to the Kegite Club, several songs are against attacks on the student movement. Several of our songs are against violence in the student movement. Several of our songs are tailored towards Aluta songs. If you look at the elements of Aluta songs we sing at the barricade and the songs of the Kegite Club, they are twins. You get it? They have that twin relationship. And if you also listen very recently to the songs of the Kegite Club, it also shows the element of the degeneration of the student movement itself. You get it? And that is why you can find this particular song, Mele, Mele Shawo, Mele, Mele Shekbe Okunkun, Mele Sheke Guys Club, Belu Cultism. It is not that Kegite Club hates other cultist clubs, but what Kegite Club is trying to reject is the element of violence introduced against the student movement. For some of us who have read Professor Atahiru Jega, the former INEC chair's expository book on the student movement in Nigeria, we could see that from anti-SAP, the mid-80s, the battles of the student movement that eclipsed in 1989, against many of the problems that we are fighting today, started in the mid-80s through the structural adjustment program. And it was imposed from the Buhari period to the Babangida period. And the Babangida period successfully, the Babangida regime successfully imposed it, not only on the student movement, but on Nigeria as a whole. An economic policy, as a social policy. So we could find that from those elements at that period, the cultural arm of the student movement, which I call the Kegite Club, were also singing a lot of songs. They were also having a lot of artistic. The Kegite Club itself is a rebellion against the imposition of imperialism by youths who decide that we would wear our own Ankara, we will use our beads, we will have respect for our chief, have respect for women, make women the CBN. You know, it means that with what the Kegite Club does, if we get into power politically, our CBN governor will be a woman. Because if you look at most Kegite branches, the accountress, the person who is in charge of our treasure, is a woman, usually. So that's why we always call them accountress, because we believe that the women are more accountable. They have more accountability. So I wanted to respond to one of our panelists when he was talking about women in political power. The Kegite Club has envisaged that for a very long time, making women to be in charge. They are the Akakpo Egbe Kegite Club, and that's why you find their countries. And then you also find some cultural elements of today. You find a lot of people using beads everywhere in the rise of culture, the rise of Yoruba nation, and all the rest. The Kegite Club have been doing this for a very long time. The only thing is that I can't have bead in my hands and go to tika my chiefs. They have to sanction me at that element. But I also want our chiefs to also reduce such sanctions, so that there can be a democratization of the use of beads. And it will not be for the chiefs alone. I know that my chief from Ila is trying to shake his head and all of that, but please, chief, let's liberalize some things within the Kegite Club to also help us, members too. And that's why that takes me to one of the things that steals away our artistic activism, which is our subjugation of culture to the monarchical system. Today, the rise of culture in Nigeria to also have that underlying problem, where you find people talking Isheshe, Eshude, and all of these things. They still subject themselves to the whims and caprices of the kings, the rulers of today. But anybody that understands our history would know that the monarchical system today in Africa is a short part of our history. The history of the African people, even the Yoruba people, go and check how many Onis have been in history. They are not so long. It's not been about 100 years. Go and check even the history. I read one history recently of the history of the Anioma people. LSF Wagu. I read recently the history of the Anioma people, where they enthrone women as kings, as rulers. You get it? And they have all of those cultures. What I'm saying is that we should look beyond what our monarchical system is imposing on us today. For instance, if you want to define Yoruba culture with the utterances and words of somebody like the Oluwo of Iwo, apology to my people from Iwo, it's a malculture. You get it? You get misled culturally. Or you listen to the histories as even expounded by the Oni of Ife, Oni Risha of Ife. You find that it lacks the real understanding of what the Yoruba history is as it is. And that is the essence of what, for me, the Kegite Club should do with this palm wine conference. We should make it national. We should make it global. Today, it shouldn't be the position of the national alone. We should get the world headquarters to get it. We'll get a lot of other places. So that while we are having palm wine conference here at the University of Ibadan, it is being done in all other campuses. You get it? My comment from Lakotech, please, we should also have it too in all the other places, so that we can continue teaching ourselves culture. And it's part of one of the questions that was asked the commissioner when he came, and he was talking about legal protection. I think the Kegite Club itself can sponsor bills. We can sponsor bills at the National Assembly, at the Houses of Assembly, to protect people who believe in African culture. Like what happened in Kwara State, where Onisheshe's place was burnt down by some Muslims, some errant Muslims. we should sponsor bills at national assemblies, at houses of assemblies, that can protect people's culture, that can protect people's religion generally. And then we should, this program as it is now, should be on the Kegite website. You get it nationally. More people should read about it. More people should learn about it. More people should know about it. Art, culture, art and activism are basis with which we can have a rising culture. Because the thing is also that we don't need to repeat the culture of the past. We can build our own culture as suitable as what our today wants. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Conrad. I can see that we have a, yeah, thank you. I can see that we have a, I didn't stop his flow, and that's because we had an earlier conversation, and following the several discussions that we have. So you've said quite a number of important things, and I particularly love the fact that you've gone the historical lane to discuss what the role of a club like Kegite Club has been in the student movement all through the year. We are drawing close to, because say for time now, I would want you to speak to how we can now navigate, because the focus of the conversation, just like you have also buttressed, is to address or knock at the issue of social injustice, which is what activism quite borders on. Looking at where the world is as of today, and I would like you to take it through a local Nigerian to global lens now. What can we begin to do? Our clubs, students particularly, students, because not everyone here is a Kegite member, so to say. But we have had conversation that borders so much on culture rejuvenation and all of that. What can we begin to do to reposition activism and art in the minds of students? Of course, you've addressed the leadership of the club, but what can we do, taking it up the ladder to the global level?
Thank you so much. First is that you can't have culture without cultural images and imageries and symbolism.